Nathan.
Hello, Tom. Can everyone in the back hear us?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? All right.
Microphones are working.
First of all, always incredible.
Hey, it's always great to share a stage with you, Nathan.
Yeah,
Or
it's
a living room or whatever. Yeah.
so Tom was on the first ever living room show that I ever did. I was 17 years old, and there was a fundraiser. So I got into this arts camp called California State Summer School for the Arts, and it's a month-long arts camp at Cal Arts, where you get to study visual arts, music, writing. What else? Anyways, I did creative writing, and so it was about $1,000 for the whole month, which is super cheap. But we decided to do a fundraiser, and I just had all my talented friends in this living room. We had about 60 people, just like tonight, and we've raised the entire $1,000. And that camp was like life-changing, seriously life-changing. And anyways, Tom was one of the first performers, and so now it's about 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm still here.
And I'm still in high school, so yeah, it's pretty crazy. I work as a substitute teacher mainly at high school, so I never grew up. But yes, so Time to Dance. You played a Time to Dance. What was the second song?
Second song is Here Under the Big Sky.
Here Under the Big Sky.
That's on my shirt, actually.
Wow. And you also played
City of Dreams.
City of Dreams. So I'm I started trying to just learn Tom's songs just because they're hard and they make me better at piano. And I was like, he's the biggest influence on my songwriting. So I'm just learning his stuff. City of Dreams is insanely difficult, and I'll probably learn that 10 years from now. But at Time to Dance, specifically, I heard Tom play it at a net cancer. So
yeah.
You want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I don't know how many of you know my story, but 9 years ago I was diagnosed with a rare and incurable form of cancer. But it's a kind of cancer that one can live with for a long time, so I'm still here. But for the last 9 years, I've been, in and out of medical treatments and lots of doctor appointments and tests. It's just, that's my life now, And so, yeah, there's been a certain amount of suffering involved in that. The thing that I got a chance to play at was there's an organization called LACNets, and my wife Lisa here is here. She basically runs the organization, and they put on this event, and I got to share my music and my stories.
Can't hear you.
That's because I don't have as many vocal cords as a normal person. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes.
Can you hear me?
We can hear
I'm
you.
going to have to hold the mic really close to my mouth.
That's better.
Yeah.
Put it
okay.
in your mouth.
All right.
Kiss the mic.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear? You guys can hear me though, right?
We can hear you.
Okay, cool. So yeah, basically just put it on your lips
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So yeah, Tom played that song at the end, and I never heard it, and it moved me so deeply and seriously, and the title, A Time to Dance. It's just so it totally encapsulates that. So when I play that song and practice it, I literally feel like dancing, but also I feel a gallant spirit.
Gallant spirit.
Yeah, it really, really makes me feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, during the pandemic, I was really depressed, and I was just kind of isolated in the studio, and I was writing all kinds of really dark music, most of which I haven't recorded yet. And then coming out of that, I just felt like, there's a time to write, happy music too. Like, that's a valid artistic expression, right? So, I just deliberately wrote that, and I was having a hard time getting out of bed in the morning. I was so depressed. But my dog, took on the job of getting me out of bed, because she just puts her paws up in the bed and looks at me like, it's the best day ever. And, that really helped me.
Yeah, Skylar, their dog, is permanently dancing. Pretty much. Permanently hey, want to dance now? And Lisa's like, who trained you to be better than this? And Skylar's like, we're going to dance now. But yeah, what was I going to say? So how has it been? Yeah, trying to write happy songs or trying to transmute what it is. I mean, you've shared a little bit about like. I remember one time at your concert, you have Sorrow and Joy, 2 songs, but you have this chord right in between, right? That's not quite minor or major. And so you've dabbled in this sort of liminal space many times with your music.
Yeah, suffering is just part of the human condition. We all suffer, and it's not so much about how do you avoid suffering. It's more how well do you suffer? Like, what do you do with it? How do you get through it? And for me, definitely music has been a big part of that, I think, in my life. I look back over the last 9 years, I think I've written some of my best music ever. And it's not like, you hear this music and you think, oh man, that guy must have been suffering. It's more like, I feel, like, not to over-spiritualize it, but I feel like God gives me this music to help me, to comfort my soul. And so I think my music, it turns out, actually has a sort of a healing effect on other people. And that's just been the most beautiful thing that I can ever hear is, like you said, my music touched you. And that's just, it may not be touching millions of people, but I hope that whoever does touch, it touches them really well.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly impacted me by myself. And I read a book on writing from Kurt Vonnegut, and one of the concepts was just audience of one. Like, pick one person in your life that if you made them proud with writing you do, then that's okay, right? And so for me, for him, his sister, if he made her laugh with his writing, then he knew it was good. And for me with music, if you like the song, then I'm okay with it. Seriously. And when you would email me back like, I'm working on your song in the studio, and I'm like, I'm vibing out to it. I'm like, yes, now I know this song is good for me. It's good enough for me. And so you're that for me, for music. Seriously.
That's cool.
So, all right, so we'll wrap this up. How would you answer that question?
Well, I think that if I was not afraid of suffering, well, first of all, it sort of asks the question, am I afraid of suffering? I mean, I don't know if that's really, of course, I prefer not to suffer, but it's something that's going to happen. Like I said, it's inevitable. And I just think that, I've learned a lot actually over the last 9 years about how to suffer. And I don't mean like, how does one cause suffering, but more, how does one handle suffering? And it really, I think, for me, has deepened my appreciation of beauty. When I first came back from the hospital, the first time I was in the hospital, Lisa and I were going for a walk around the neighborhood, and I saw a flower. It was like some ordinary kind of flower that I'd probably seen a million times before, and I just went, wow, look at that flower. It's amazing. And I want to have more of that in my life, and I think that suffering has actually allowed me to be a little bit more aware of beauty around me and to be more patient with people too. Because, if I'm sitting there in a car and the guy in front of me is like, he's texting or whatever, and he's not going at a green light, I don't know, maybe he's just got some really bad news. Maybe his mom's in the hospital, I don't know. So just try to be a little more, empathetic with people. I don't know if that answers the question.
I think it totally answers the question, because when you say patience, it hit me, because patience literally means long suffering.
Yeah.
That is the etymology of the word. Yeah. And so, just the idea that you can cultivate patience, and so to welcome suffering as a way to cultivate patience. So, well, thank you for playing your music, and as always, give it up for Tom.
Yes.